but all those fucking kids are fucking trying to update their shit for point 0.60, trying to get their shit ready, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you don't really need to update anything. That's the nice thing. Older hardware should get a boost.
Yeah.
I'm hoping more streamers show up. More people start streaming the game because it doesn't require an i7 maxed out to run it all.
I'm streaming it right now, trying to get into the damn game.
That's what a lot of people are doing. They said they're gonna add more EXP servers in the morning, but they gotta add like
I said they'd look into it.
Yeah, they have to add like 200 plus more servers, dude, just to keep up with the fucking demand. You know what someone told me? They said that M4 spawned at VMC. Apparently inside the bunker. I mean, barracks.
Oh, who knows?
Well, Kongfon.
I mean, we'll see what I mean, someone could have dropped it and picked something else up. It's experimental.
Right, but we'll see, because see if that's a lie or whatever it is, because
well, they had to retweak the distribution, so they could have screwed that up too.
Yeah. My friend found a PSO scope in a fucking tent.
Nice.
Jeez, man, just 4K, dude, 100 plus FPS, bro. Holy shit. Jesus.
It's a lot of... What's he running to get that?
I was just
What's
going to
he
say,
running?
I'm just going to look at what Kongfang has for hardware.
Well, his streaming PC is an Intel i7 4790K 4 gigahertz.
Yeah, but that's just for capturing the
Oh, so
screen. There it is.
he's got a stream.
i7 4790. He's running motherboard. Come on, where's the video card? Triple SSD RAID array for speed.
That was the graphic card. Oh, EVG, Titan X Super. Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is. Titan X.
Yes, EVGA Titan X, $1,200 video card. And then,
Those
yeah,
are
he's
actually
got
going
the
to drop in
streaming
price.
computer. Yeah, they'll drop to $999 when Pascal comes out.
Oh yeah. Easy. Probably 8.
Pascal will be $1,500.
That's fine.
No. You gotta remember, the prices aren't gonna drop on the old hardware. Everyone seems to be under this mass illusion that they're gonna gut their own money. It's not gonna happen. If the price is really good, then the supply will vanish, so they won't be able to keep up with demand. And so the aftermarket will just naturally create a new price point. People will resell their equipment. But no, it won't happen right away.
Yeah.
They will not put out a video card that's faster than more than 15% than their top current video card. If they can do it, you just release it in increments to make money at each step. Whether Pascal cards come out at 15% better or 21% better than the Titan cards, they'll sell exactly the same number of cards at that $1,200 to $1,500 price point. Makes no difference.
Because I'm sitting on a 980 right now. I'm thinking about getting a Titan eventually.
There you go. But there's the thing, it's not something people buy every 3 months, and people don't buy video cards every new release unless they have very deep pockets. Because your new video cards, what, every 6 months?
Oh yeah, it takes me a month to save up for something like that.
See, it would take me a year to save up to drop the money on a Titan. Joys of being old and having a mortgage and a
You.
wife and a kid.
You.
Cars and a yard.
I mean,
You,
well,
you,
whatever
you,
makes you
do
happy,
you know
man.
millennials? Do you know millennials now are actually living not really in houses anymore? They're living in apartments a lot more. A lot of millennials about it.
Yep.
A lot of statistics about it. They just don't see the house right
Oh.
there in their future.
Well, they can't afford them.
Exactly.
The American dream is dead. There's just people not quite really willing to admit it yet.
No, I was lucky. My grandmother left me and my brother a nice sum of money when she died, so we went in together and bought a house because we knew that individually we would never be able to own our own house. You know what I mean? So,
Oh, that's good.
It's always good to share with family as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, take care of your family.
absolutely.
But I mean, I just saw the news. The average single attached, like just a standard 1,200 square foot house in Vancouver, BC now is $790,000. And in Canada, we have mortgage laws, so you can't get too far in debt to have a mortgage.
The only downside to a deal like that is you're kind of locked in. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you live in Vancouver, say you find a house for $750,000, you have to save up, under Canadian mortgage laws, you have to save up a $100,000 down payment on that. So you have to put $100,000 in your savings account first.
And this is in
So
Canada?
after that, in Canada, yep, 25-year mortgage is the longest you can term a mortgage. Interest rates are around 2 to 3%. After all that, you'd be looking at about $3,200 to $3,500 a month in payments.
Well, with that kind of money, I mean, how much is property worth up in Canada with $100,000? I mean, I could live happy with $50,000, house. You know what I mean?
You couldn't buy a $50,000 house in Canada.
You can't do that. Like, how does it work in Canada? Explain.
Prices are much higher.
Was it because of demand or land
let's
value?
see. A demand right now. We have massive foreign investment coming in at the moment. So in Vancouver, if you go down to like the inner harbor of Vancouver City and all these tall condo buildings, they're like 80% empty. It's all been bought by foreign Asian investors. What's happening is there's a little known fact that a lot of people don't realize. In China, you cannot buy property.
Right. So I've.
All property is owned by the state.
It's so funny because like everyone, like it's not just you, but people, and then of course the people on the TV, the news reporters, they say the same shit, and you got to say to yourself, well, how can your country allow that? Like this is because things are going to change here in the States here, like letting people hold, property or assets like that and then not using it or just using it as a tax haven. That's going to come to an end pretty soon here. So I can't speak for Canada, but I mean,
No,
Well,
it won't change anytime soon.
with the current 2016 elections, that can be a little different.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah,
like
they-
a lot of the laws they want to pass have to go through Congress. Not sure
But
how
yeah,
it works over
basically
there.
the people in China that are making all the money right now, you know, you own a manufacturing business that makes a widget for an iPhone, and you're making $10 million a year as a junior manager somewhere. Well, what are you going to do with your money? You can't buy property in your own country, so you hire a broker to buy you property in different parts of the world where it'll continue to go up in value. Canada, parts of Germany, places, the first world countries where it's extremely valuable. And another one, of course, is really big is Seattle, and of course everybody knows about the San Francisco boom. And San Francisco is double shot because not only is it popular with external investors, it's popular with tech companies. So it's kind of getting the 1-2 punch, so it's the worst in the Western Hemisphere right now.
Yeah, and
But in Canada also, see, there's a limitation that mortgage payment of say $3,200 a month. This is after you saved up $100,000 into your bank account to give the bank as a down payment towards your $750,000 mortgage. You now have that 32, but that 3,200 can be no more than 42% of your income.
huh. That's just for it's Canada though, right? Just that state
Yeah,
area.
Canada.
Or does it apply to all of Canada? Not
All
of
provinces? Oh, wow.
All
all
provinces.
provinces?
It's designed so you can't get yourself in over your head. If the maximum you're legally allowed to mortgage is 42% of your income, then worst case you lose a job, you could lose your house, but you have a buffer zone. And also if you made it like 100% of your income, well then, you know, that's what happened to a lot of people in the States. Back in 2008, they made these
Yeah,
special
it's
mortgages where it's like pay $300 a month now, but in 2 years it'll be $1,800 a month. Hopefully by then you have a job that pays you enough to cover that mortgage. And people
yeah,
got hosed across the board.
yeah, the housing bubble. Yeah, a lot of people lost their
Yeah, the
houses because of
2008
it. But see the
2008 economic crisis right there.
yeah,
States.
And that's why Canada, we kind of sat up here and was like, how the hell did that happen? People had to explain to me like how they managed to get these mortgages so fucked up. It's like, really? Someone who worked for minimum wage, like as a server for $3 an hour plus tips could get a mortgage for 100 grand? How? It's like, oh no, they were just giving away like candy. They knew they'd fail. They didn't care. They just wanted to sell them. That's insane.
Jesus. Oh my lord. Yeah, no, it's just I don't. You know that's going to be a problem, like economics, politics, and decisions on world decisions. People are going to debate about it. It's just going to be going on for the rest of our lives until I die, until my children die, etc., so on and so forth. As long
yeah.
as there is a world without North Korea blowing it up, or etc.
Yeah, so basically because of those mortgage laws, you have to have a take-home income. You can split that between two people, like a husband and wife, but you're looking at a take-home income of about $6,000 a month.
Is that even possible in Canada?
Oh, very possible. You just have to be very well paid. $6,000 a month? Well, the average person works, what, 20 shifts a month? Divided by 20, it's $300 a day. Divided by 8, it's 37, somewhere between $37 and $38 an hour.
Well, over here where I live, the minimum wage is $10 an hour. And I'm not
Yeah,
sure
minimum
how
wage
a
is
dollar
going
is
up to
compared to a Canadian dollar. Or
Our dollar's worth about 25% less than yours right now, so a
but
minimum
don't
wage
we
earner
share
in
an
Canada,
economy though? Don't we share an economy?
yeah, we do, but Canadian dollar is extremely attached in value to the price of oil, and oil's in the pooper right now.
Rip.
So our minimum wage is about $10.45 an hour, so a minimum wage employee in British Columbia makes less than your $10 an hour. They're making the equivalent of like $8 an hour American.
Right.
Yeah, so if you take that 37, you gotta remember that could be a husband and wife, they both work. So you divide that by 2, and that's $18.75 an hour each, which is doable.
Yeah, no, that is. It's just like,
It just shows that like you have no extras.
right.
Like at 42% of your income going towards a mortgage, and that's just the mortgage.
And what about recent college graduates too? Like they're stuck. They go to a 4-year school straight out of high school. They go to a 2-year to a
But
4-year.
you guys have
But
a
here's the
different.
thing, though.
You guys have different prices for school. In Canada, you pay like
that,
$3,000-4,000 a semester for tuition. That's it.
yeah, like over here, you're stuck paying back your fucking student loans for 15 plus years. My teacher, one of my
Exactly.
teachers, who's recently graduated, maybe like she said, I think she's like 29 or 30. He says she's
Yep.
still paying fucking student loans from when she was in school. And it's like
Yep.
5 plus years, 10 plus years almost. Graduated college, still paying that shit back. So like the jobs over here, like the teacher probably making, I don't know, how much does the teacher
Probably.
make? Do you think?
Probably 35,000 a year to start in the U.S., depending on location. Like
Yeah,
I'm thinking
so
like
it's like-
Midwest. I mean, major metropolitan. No, it'll be way higher.
User
Yeah.
You
joined
probably
your
work
channel.
yourself up to 40 to 60,000 a year with some tenure, some time in.
Yeah.
Gotta get that
Maybe
10 years.
They're union usually teachers, so they usually get a better overall pay. The big thing is they get
Right.
paid to take 2 months off in the middle of summer, so those checks still keep coming in, even though they're gone
Yeah.
from the end of
Yep.
June until September. So it's not horrible.
Yeah, but that still affects how people buy and spend their money,
Oh,
depending
absolutely.
on what they got in.
But the trade-off in Canada is the big thing is the pension, right? And
Yeah.
that's something I don't know if it's big in the States anymore, but like a teacher might not have huge income. Say they make a little more because it's Canada. So say they may start at 40,000 a year, work their way up to 70,000 a year. But the whole time they're doing that, they're paying into a union and an awesome pension. So when they retire, their check is as if they never left. They just keep getting that paycheck as part of their pension. So they have no drop in income. Whereas most people in private sector jobs, there's not even such thing as a pension anymore in most jobs.
Right.
So the reality is you can either fund your retirement or you can ask a company to fund your retirement.
Yeah.
If you are
Hey.
over 30 years old and live in the United States and are working for a company that doesn't offer a pension program of some kind, or you have like your 401k, stuff like that, with a match or something, like if you are not participating, not maxing that out, getting your Roth IRAs lined up and making sure your company pays its contribution, you're basically screwing yourself. And if you're working for a company that offers no pension, it's time to switch companies as soon as possible.
Or rob a bank.
That's true. I mean, if you end up in prison, that's 3 square meals a day and no bills.
Free
so
medical.
That's not so bad. Good medical too.
Yeah. Best in the country.
Can't have prisoners dying on them.
No.
What you could do, like without robbing a bank, if you wanted to do that, is get a joint, a single joint with marijuana, and then just walk around with it. Get caught,
No,
put you in there
it-
for 15 plus years.
In order for that to work, you gotta be black, though.
Oh.
So unless you can change your skin color, I mean.
Yeah, no, but if you look at it though, fucking, you get caught with one little bag of weed or something, like nothing serious. They put you away for maybe 5 to almost 10 years. But someone that is a fucking hacker or something, or a fucking scam artist, he scams people or some shit, or does some stupid shit, right? They get like 2 years or 3 years.
Well, I mean,
But
Yeah,
slap
thank,
on the shit.
thank Ronald Reagan, man.
what state do you live in? I mean, it varies state to state. Like if you're talking like Louisiana, sure, you can if you get caught with something like that, you can wind up in there for, 5 to 10 years because they're stupid redneck hicks that don't know any better. Or you can go to Georgia, for example, and get slapped in the wrist. Like it's like a year max with probation and some community service. It's like not even a serious thing anymore. And they're actually it's on the ballot. It's on the ballot for legalization this year as well. So I mean,
Yeah, same
It's
here in
just-
Florida.
it's just
User
state law,
joined your
you know?
channel.
How's everybody
Either
doing
way.
tonight? 420 smoke weed all day.
smoke weed every day.
Talking about mortgages, pensions, and weed.
Invest in
The-
bonds.
All,
There you go.
all a good conversation. There you go.
Stocks and bonds.
Invest
Capital.
in weed stocks.
It started out with the
Industry.
idea
It's
that
gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much did Colorado make in this last fiscal year?
Oh,
How many million? 25
huge.
million?
Ridiculous
It's
amount.
fucking
million?
Jesus Christ. Like, the banks can't take it because of federal regulations, kind of shit.
Let's see. That's-
there's actually a big thing about the price of weed dropping
Oh, yeah.
significantly.
Oh yeah, dude.
I
It's,
was on Reddit today, where it's like
you
25%
know what,
per
though?
year, because it's going to
It does
saturate.
drop. Yep. Yep.
So right now it was short, a few suppliers, medium demand. Now it'll be high demand when it legalizes.
now
The
see,
price
we're
up
gonna
front
need
yet,
that
but once all the
wall
growers
when
come
we
online,
choke the
that's the end
fucking
of it.
cartels dry.
And people
Yep.
start making, growing their own,
Yeah.
getting their own private strains.
Well,
yeah.
I can't speak for it specifically. British Columbia's illegal marijuana trade is marked at $5 billion a year.
Which is why Canada just legalized it, right?
Next year.
Well, I
About
mean,
1 year from now.
but it's
Beautiful
it's
test.
it's a done thing though. It's in stone. It's gonna happen.
Outside of someone assassinating our prime minister, yeah, it's pretty much done.
Which,
Don't
honestly,
give anybody any ideas.
He
Come on,
could
man.
just box that bullet out of the sky.
Oh no, I'm all for
Or-
it. The police
or
are
you-
already talking. The police are
It's
already
a-
talking about having the new breathalyzers detect marijuana. They're ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like fucking alcohol, dude. Honestly, that's what weed is. Just like fucking alcohol.
What's gonna be funny
yeah.
is some of the laws that get missed in between and they're erased out.
Right.
Like perfect example is if you get like drinking and driving charge, your employer can't fire you in Canada, right? Unless you're like a driver or
Right.
something, you lose your
Really?
license. But weed,
Lucky.
it's still a controlled substance, so a lot of the rules that people sign their employee agreements is any form of drugs detected in urine.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden it's like it's legal, and then surprise drug test day, April 21st every year, and they'll just be like, we'll just be able to weed out all the employees. It's literally weed them
Weed
out,
But
and it'll be perfectly legal. Whereas that's the sort of stuff that people are like, it's gonna get messy.
yeah, I think Colorado went through some of that too. I mean, honestly, the states that it's legal in, California, same thing. They have
Yeah, what they'll
their
do is the
employers
companies will
can
simply
still
put out
fire you for it because
exactly, where smoking or alcohol are accepted, they can't fire you for it because it's a right.
Right.
Not a right, but it's not against the law. Whereas this, when you
And
sign
then
the
this is
paper,
where the
so
gray
they can
area
enforce
comes
the
in.
rules and
Right.
contracts based on that. You said you would have no any of these substances listed here in your body ever while employed for our company. That was what you signed as a contract. You chose, even though it's legal to consume, as an employee, you signed saying you wouldn't consume it.
right.
Toast. Goodbye.
Rip.
The person who does an amazing job. Surprisingly, that drug test was inconclusive. The,
Right,
the
right.
slacker in the warehouse that can't quite get his act together, never shows up on time, and literally is the living personification of a pothead. Oh, he'll be gone so fast.
Right.
There's HR departments across the country salivating over the options. You mean we could probably get 10% of our employee base gone if we want? Yep. It'll be legal? Yep. Well, let's start prepping now. Yeah, I could see a lot of companies that don't have drug policies in place actually putting that forward, that continued employment within your job role require that you sign off on this paperwork, stating that even though
Right.
it's legal in Canada, we as a company, because it's a huge liability
Disagree.
issue.
Right.
Like same
Yeah,
with
big-
alcohol, not allowed, but someone shows up a little high and it's not
Yeah,
officially in
that's-
written contracted paperwork as an employee agreement, and runs a forklift over someone, like
Oh,
that company is
right.
so boned.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Like you just hand 5 million to everyone involved and say sorry and take the write down.
Yeah, because unlike alcohol, that doesn't leave your system nearly as quickly. So you might have been high 3 days ago, and you screwed up and ran your forklift into something, and well,
And then
you
the thing
still
is, well,
show as
yes.
being intoxicated. You
And
know,
super
there's-
stoners can function. I just know through friends who are into it. I've
Oh,
just
yeah.
never really been. They can function like it's almost like a raging alcoholic. Like they can function with a lot of booze in their system. But the reality is that like the stoner will look perfectly straight and then fuck up because his brain wanders on him.
or vice versa.
Just
Like-
there in a forklift cruising through the bar. This car steers funny. The
Boom.
tag is in the back.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's, that sounds like personal experience there, buddy.
Well,
You know what?
yeah.
I've had the opportunity and
I've
I've never
known
taken it.
I've known both types. I've known some people who need that to take their edge off because they're just nervous freaking balls
yeah.
of I don't know,
Oh, hey, no, I'm
inability
all
to
for
function.
it. I mean, you just have to
Right.
look at anything creative. I mean, drugs have helped people be
Right.
creative for years. Look at rock
But-
music.
Right. The
Rock
problem
music is
is
literally
when you,
is literally because of drugs.
Right.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Literally.
That is literally a class at my university.
There you go. It's just the truth. I mean, without drugs, the 70s didn't happen. All that amazing music didn't happen.
Same thing with the 60s. Don't forget the 60s.
LSD, dude. Oh.
Well, the
LSD.
60s was like, the 60s people were trying drugs. 70s people were using drugs.
Yeah, a lot of people get confused the 70s with the 60s. Like, your long
Right.
hair and like hippie people, that's 70s. Started in the very end of the 60s.
60s was all
JFK
flowers.
and shit.
Yeah.
Late 65.
Right about time people started landing on the moon in 69. People thought anything was
And,
possible.
And
right.
fucking, they outlawed, or banned, what is it?
LSD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
in
because that shit
1966.
like rots holes in your fucking brain. I mean,
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's what they say, but I mean,
Far
has
out.
anyone actually seen a rotted whole brain? No, I'm kidding.
pretty sure. I
Maybe
saw
they're
it
just
on the
saying that.
Discovery Channel, I mean.
Really, it was all kind of leading up because of the fucking the political and social. I think it was like majority of Vietnam that led into that. Honestly,
No,
like some
I
of the
think,
social changes.
I think what's going to happen is a lot of Portugal's model is going to be used in Canada, so it should be just fine. They legalized all drugs about 5 years ago. Total fallout is 0.
Yeah, but Portugal doesn't have America to its south.
It's true. Hey, as a
Especially
Canadian,
with all the
legalizing
fucking-
weed
Yeah.
is like the absolute best tourism thing in the world.
Right.
So people are going to come to our
Imagine the
country,
influx of
spend
of
American
tourists.
dollars, and mellow out on the beaches and in the mountains.
Right. Right.
Kind of become one with nature for a week and then go home while spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars in our stores and businesses. I'm really
Uh-huh.
not seeing the downside to this.
I don't see a downside, except for the people that benefit off of people being imprisoned on it. Those are the people that'll not benefit off of it. But fuck
Yeah,
them.
well, we recently had a court case for that. Basically, a guy was up on charges, and the judge pretty much just threw it out. He's like, really? Like, the laws are literally being changed as we speak. I'm not putting you in prison for this. It was like a
Dude, good
small
on him.
amount.
Fuck.
Oh, the judges are like, either you're on board or you're not on board with this. Like, this is going to be the law in a year. Like, this small, petty bullshit is a waste of time. And I think it was mainly aimed at the cop who arrested them. It's like, dude, he's a dirtbag,
Right.
I know, but let's get him on something real where we can stick him in prison for a few years over, not some nickel and dime bag shit.
Yeah, honestly, I don't understand like anything, like any form of assault, like besides that white, like that should be the only thing that's illegal, like jail time. Like,
No,
if
well,
you're
the biggest
causing
thing
physical
is, yeah,
harm.
there's actually
Right.
a great cop
or
in the
what
States,
you're
I forget
doing
his
causes
name.
physical
He's a
harm to somebody
sheriff,
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he has this amazing diatribe about how the war on drugs doesn't work and what a police
Yeah, it
officer's
doesn't.
job should be. And a police
Mhm.
officer's job is to protect you and the public from you. That's it. That is
Yeah,
their
my
job.
my best friend's a
They're
cop,
essentially
and,
your.
like,
It's your
honestly,
job is
yeah.
big brother. That is entirely the job. If you didn't have a big brother growing up, maybe you were a big brother growing up, or you had a friend
Right.
you protected. That is your job. Cops are just the legal definition of the big brother. What the hell's going on? Did you start this fight? Well, then you fucking got punched in the face. Deal with it. Move on, both of you. Right? Like, just settling arguments is all it is. 99% of the time.
What I wish the cops did, like here in the States specifically, or like the UK cops, where you just fucking, the UK cops don't even carry guns, they carry fucking batons, bro. They don't even carry pistols.
that would
willingly.
be.
But it's a function
terrible,
of,
dude.
but it's a
Yeah.
function of the society, right? And here's a perfect example.
Well, France
Always
learned their
Canada
lesson.
is half U.S., half British, and it's true because in Canada, while they carry
Right.
guns, they never draw them. There is hundreds of thousands of police officers that have served. Number of gun incidents in a year, you can count on 2 hands. It's extremely low. Pulling a gun for an RCMP officer in Canada is more paperwork than shooting the guy with the gun. Like, why did you pull it? What was the reason for pulling your weapon? Were you... Because they can't use it as a threatening weapon. And because
Well,
of
that's what
that,
the cops
the
over here
only
do.
cartridge, yeah, the only cartridge they're allowed to shoot out of their handguns and out of their rifles is hollow point. Nothing else. If they pull the gun, it is not to threaten, it is to kill. That is it. And that is the
That's what it's
decision they make.
supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have to protect themselves or to protect someone, an innocent person in a situation. That's the only time it ever comes out. And I think
What
the
is a
average
hollow
is
point?
the average. Hollow point is a bullet that is basically got a notched on the top, so when it's fired, it actually breaks apart on impact and shreds whatever it goes through. So this is the.
Yeah,
If you
they're
take like a
Yeah.
45 cal hollow point, it goes in and leaves a hole about the size of a dime and comes out the back about the size of a softball.
a lot of
Right.
douchebags like to use
It's
hollow
not
point
designed.
ammo
Yeah,
for Glocks just because they're
exactly. It is
assholes.
not a nice round. There is no
There's
cowboys and the shooting a guy in the leg and then aha we're going to get away. Like if a police officer, if you're running away from an RCMP officer in Canada and he has to pull his weapon for whatever reason, he will shoot you square in the back and you will die on the spot. And they don't shoot once.
Right.
There's no warning shots. The average is 7 bullets. If they go to
Jeez.
fire, they're
It's
going
like
to put you
empty a
down.
mag.
They're gonna
One
empty the
total.
magazine.
13 rounds.
Jesus.
13 rounds.
Yeah.
But the reality is they don't want it to go any further. Like if they've literally been
Right.
forced to the point of we've talked, they've tried to restrain, blah blah blah, like all the way down. At this point, by the time they pull that gun, somebody's dying. Like it's just
Right.
they've had to make that life and death
Well,
decision.
what about if like they never attacked him or threatened the police officer and he just right away?
Well, that's it. That's not going to get you shot. It's not like they want to shoot anyone. Like it's their life is over if they shoot someone as a police officer. Like they're going to go. They're immediately suspended. They have to go months and months of going through the whole court process. Well, it's the worst thing in the world to a police officer if that's what you enjoy doing
Yeah.
for your life. Because now everyone looks at you like if there's even the tiniest bit of suspicion, even your fellow police officer, like, what the fuck
Right.
were you doing, Bob?
Police officers up in Canada, they're tied more towards like the national government, right? Like the federal government.
Yeah, RCMP is a national
Yeah.
police force. Cities themselves, and they're contractors, basically. The
Yeah.
police themselves, like cities can have their own police force. Tiny cities, big cities, but what happens is most cities will set aside a budget for X amount for law enforcement, and then from that budget they can decide if they're going to form their own like police, like a city police force, or if they're going to use that money and contract the RCMP. For most small towns, it's just easier, right? It's imagine if you were, well, I don't know how. It's like buying a car, right? Like, do you
Yeah.
build the car yourself, or do you just go to Honda and order 10 cars, or do you set up a garage? Because like it's all the maintenance. You have to have facilities. When you contract the RCMP, well, then they use the facilities the city provides. But that's all. It's all just contract work.
I think that's the main issue with the United
And
States
they're-
police departments.
The nice thing with the RCMP, their mandate, they have federal mandates, but it's usually
Yeah.
the mandate of the city. So if the city says we want to break down, put a push on drinking and driving, then the city will pay the officers to work overtime and do roadside checks after their shifts. It's good money for the police officers. They love doing it. Get double time to stand there and check if people are drunk. Not exactly hard work. Shine a flashlight. Hey, how are you tonight? Have you been drinking? Okay. Have a great night. Goodbye.
This is
99%
almost
of
hopeless to
cars.
get into.
What's that?
Yeah.
But the big
server.
thing is they also have additional
experimental?
services.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they
absolutely.
have slight military training, there's a lot of crossover from Canadian military when they're done their tours or whatever of moving into RCMP service. Not always, but it's a good fit if you're used to, the uniforms, the dress, the...
I was watching a documentary on some Mounties that used to be in like special operations, and they're just roaming around Alberta like, oh yeah, so we're just keeping an eye on the border, eh?
Yeah, they still do the mounted, like the Stetsons and the Red Serfs.
Yeah.
They have the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Force. They actually do a touring show over the summer, mainly for families and kids to go see
Yeah.
them on their horses going through their paces. But it is not uncommon in a lot of the northern posts still in Canada to have a horse. It's not common or required, but especially in big city events, even where I'm in Kelowna, when we have big concerts and that on, they'll actually have the officers in surge on horseback in amongst the crowd.
Yes.
It's hilarious. You
Here,
get some
yeah.
drunk guy getting out of hand. He's got a 1,500-pound horse sitting beside him. Suddenly decides to, whatever he's on, suddenly wears off.
Usually in like